I'm having a hard time believing Andrew and I are answering the same questions here today.
We're entering our flop era.
Shit's bleak out here. All right.
18 plus, who wants to get milked?
What kind of quality we have here at Debate This?
I need the edge. I need what the raw, unfiltered internet can bring you.
This is probably only going to be the third or fourth dumbest thing I've said today.
That's for nobody.
Just out there raw dogging the internet.
Way more hog than I expected.
It's about as much hog as I anticipated.
This is going to be one of those episodes, isn't it?
Here comes the cow, here comes the cow.
All right, let's get this over with so we can play Magic.
Hello, and welcome to Debate This, a show where someone is right. No, it's a show where no one is right, but someone is definitely wrong.
Yeah, you got it. You got
Honestly,
it.
Kyle, stuck the landing.
After 8 seasons, we've
8
decided that
years.
somebody might in fact be right this
Someone
time.
may be right.
Right is subjective.
Right is subjective. In this show, we take time out of our busy adult lives to talk about comic books, video games, and how the new Lilo and Stitch movie has deviated so far from the original to the point where the ending no longer supports the central theme of the movie, that Ohana means family and family never gets left behind.
Do you
We
want to
leave
go into
Buff
this?
Strong's Shark Man behind.
Do you want to go into this? Because I've never seen Lilo and Stitch.
Oh,
You've never seen Lilo and Stitch. Stop
You get
the
it, though.
podcast.
You get it.
Come on, man.
Does that movie warrant a you've never seen this, oh my god, sort of
I
a
think
reaction?
so.
It's pretty good. We were just old enough where it wasn't directly for us, but it is
Right.
good.
you and Todd would have been had just aged out of it.
Barely
Yeah.
grazed
We
by
were
it.
in haven't seen even Stevens the movie age.
Yeah, I was like on the verge of aging out of it, but caught it, and then everyone younger than me, it's like a
Formative.
top 5 Disney movie.
Well, apparently it defined Matt's personality
Well, it had,
his entire
it had a
life.
whole series afterwards. It was so
It
good.
did, yeah. And it
the
had
series is actually pretty fun too.
And it
It's-
had
Okay.
626 Sandwich Stacker on DisneyChannel.com,
Yeah,
the best
the sandwich
Flash game
guy
to
who's
ever
got
play.
What is
The
happening?
sandwich guy has a funny accent.
Yeah,
It's like
he's
a
got
New York accent.
another. It's another New Jersey accent for no reason.
You guys are weirdly passionate about Lilo and Stitch. Give me a tight 30 on why this matters.
So
Because
Lilo
Ohana
and
means
Stitch,
family, and family doesn't get left behind.
Lilo and
You're
Stitch,
just
the
saying
original.
words. That doesn't
if
mean
I-
anything.
The original Lilo and Stitch, the whole conceit is family means we stick together. No one
Okay.
gets left behind. Stitch, the point being Stitch gets welcomed into this family is a nightmare, and they
gotcha.
work with him and keep him around.
It's
While
like E.T.
kind of like E.T.
It is like E.T.
At the same time, it is a older sister taking care of a younger sister. They're both orphaned by their parents, and there's a whole like they're native Hawaiian. There's a whole like we've got to stick together
Yeah.
because child services is here and is gonna take you from
Oh.
me. They say I'm not a fit guardian for you.
Jesus.
And the
Okay.
end of the movie is everyone realizes that, yes, Lilo should stay with her sister Nani. The family should stay together. And their new alien friends are going to help.
Oh, that's cute.
The new movie ends with Nani deciding, no, let Child Protective Services assign my sister to another family for 4 years so I can go away to college.
Oh,
And
Yeah.
that's different.
it's different. It's real bad. And then there's the whole aspect of like, this is about Hawaii. There's a subtext of settler colonialism
Yeah, yep,
in the
yep,
first
yep.
movie that this whole second movie is like,
kinda
nah,
blows
it's
over.
fine. Give your kids up to the state. Go get that degree, girl.
Yeah.
Ohana means family will be here when you get back from college. Don't worry about it.
Yikes.
I will say that I thought the discourse was just around Buff Shark Man being cut out of the movie.
That's what it was until
Until the first trailer or the first preview audiences saw it.
until the
What,
first
The
preview
Rock?
audiences
I thought The
came
Rock
up.
was in this one.
No, that's Moana.
That's
Moana.
Moana.
Similar but
And
different.
insensitive.
Yeah.
Similar but different. And that's all I have to say on Lilo and Stitch for
Okay.
this
Are you
episode
sure you don't want
of
to
the
go any
show.
further into
For
that?
this episode of the show, Todd, maybe
Yeah.
we'll bring it up later.
Stay tuned to the post show to hear Kyle spend 45 minutes, a Final Fantasy episode length amount of time to talk about Lilo and Stitch.
So it has come up before on the show that the hosts of this podcast really, really like the TV docu-reality genre. Whether it's true crime or never before seen footage behind the scenes of a show or movie, usually detailing how monstrous everyone involved was, or if it's an in-depth look at a period of history you never thought you cared about until we got 10 uninterrupted hours of it on TV. We all love our entertainment disguised as news or education. However, I'm probably the least experienced viewer of this genre, and as such, with so many new docuseries coming out on so many streaming platforms all the time, I just don't have a good idea of what to start next. Everything out there that I'm finding feels too real, is too much of a bummer, and I'm trying to escape reality a little bit with these shows. So maybe something from a video game? Yeah, let's do that. Let's say it's that. So this week, I am joined by my co-hosts, Matt Tiger King Cole, Andrew Dancing for the Devil Henderson, and Todd the Rehearsal Thomas, who are all going to pitch me the next docuseries that I should watch based in a video game universe.
I really enjoyed this intro for a few reasons. One,
Please.
yeah, it was really fun to listen to you create the theme of the episode in real time.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
I really enjoyed that journey. Two, these nicknames are accurate and on point, and I
Yeah.
will not argue them.
I'm not familiar with Andrews.
It's
Me
the
neither.
one about the
Sounds cool.
TikTok stars.
It's a cult. It's a TikTok
I
cult.
am familiar with that now.
Oh, I was going to
I
say,
need
Todd,
to
we
see
watched
that
that.
one.
We talked about
Yeah,
that.
that's a good one.
I have to watch that one still.
I think that it's interesting that you included the rehearsal with the other two. I don't disagree with you, but I do think it's interesting.
It was the top result when
It's a
I
documentary.
searched
Yeah.
like popular docuseries today to fill out this bit. The rehearsal was the top result in 3 different searches. So
Fascinating.
yeah,
I mean,
Well,
you got to think of like
the genre
his
of whatever
whole
he's
bit.
doing is very weird.
yes,
Yeah, I mean it's avant-garde, but that's his whole bit. Is like it's very real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Parts of it.
I don't disagree with it at all, and I very much
more than you would like it to be.
Probably.
and I very much included it to have this
Yeah.
little conversation right
counts.
now
I think it
because it certainly is an interesting entry here.
Yeah.
So guys, let's get in. Give me a tight 30 on your docuseries. What game setting are we in? Who are our central characters? What's the conflict? And most importantly, where can I watch it and what's it called so I can find it when we're done recording this episode? Matt, kick us off.
Yeah, Kyle, I want you to take a trip back with me to the year 2001. It was
Pre or post the event?
Have we forgotten?
Oh no, I've been derailed. Okay. Kyle, I need you to take a trip back with me to the year 2000 and we'll give ourselves about 18 months. Anyway.
Everything's great. We survived Y2K. Bleached spikes are in. I'm there. I'm with you.
Bleached
Hell yeah, brother.
spikes are in. I want you to hold on to that energy, and I want you to imagine that with that energy, you have a boombox playing Run DMC's 1986 track, It's Tricky. That's
Okay.
the energy I need you to hold on to because I am
2000.
here to introduce you to the new docuseries coming to Red Bull TV. Uber. 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 All about the SSX series. SSX,
good.
SSX Tricky, 3 On Tour, Blur, and SSX 2012. You didn't know there were that
Because
many
of
games?
course Matt knows all of the SSX games by heart.
I learned about 2 of them today. So let's not cast that net too wide.
That's more than I would expect from most people that aren't named Matt Cole.
Yeah.
Is here's a question. Is the sequel to SSX titled like a Final Fantasy sequel? Is it SSX-2?
No, it's not. The sequel to SSX is SSX Tricky, and then it's SSX 3. And then they
Yeah.
don't
And then
do a
there's
number
SSX
the rest of the
Lightning
time.
Returns.
Birth by sleep.
Yeah.
So, Uber tells the story and is told by the people who were in the snow and on the mountain at the time about an era not only in video games, but in early 2000s snowboard culture that can never be allowed to exist again. and the lives that were lost in the name of its existence.
Can never be allowed to exist again.
That's wild.
Yeah, that ending was ominous.
Okay.
Coming soon to Red Bull TV, an app you can probably download somewhere.
Matt,
There
that
was no
does
question in my mind that was real.
is a question I need answered right now is Red Bull TV a real thing?
Red Bull TV is a real thing. Yeah,
Okay,
Red Bull TV is a very
okay.
real thing.
Good. Great.
I don't know that there's actually an app. Yeah. Wait, Red Bull TV. If you, this is terrible. If you search Red Bull TV, the first hit that comes up is from redbull.com. Red Bull TV, best of Red Bull 24/7 curated live stream.
Great.
This is just the Chive, is all this is.
I was gonna say I've seen the Chive TV in like the lobby of a pizza shop more than once.
That's
And
it.
I'm
That's
assuming
it.
Red Bull TV is not too far off from that.
You're right. I have a friend who works for the Chive, and you're right.
What?
Yeah.
You can work for the Chive.
You can work for the Chive. He's a writer for the Chive. Isn't that crazy?
The
Is he
Chive
AI?
has written.
Is
The
he a
Chive
robot?
has written.
You have a
content?
Chive guy?
Yeah, I've got a Chive guy. We'll talk about my Chive
This
guy in the post
whole
show.
time we've known you've had a Chive guy, and you've
I've had a
you've
Chive
held this
guy since
information
high
until
school.
now.
I've known this Chive guy since high school.
You
can talk
told
about
us
this in the
You're
post
ride or
show.
die with a Chive guy?
you have decided in the no, we're gonna dive on this right now. You've decided in the sequencing of information to release to us, your friends, Matt Cole, you've decided to prioritize I was in a high school Guitar Hero mall traveling jam band before
his
I
ass-
have a
get his
I
ass,
have a
Andrew.
friend that works at the Chive.
I don't deserve this.
You might deserve this, Matt.
You might
I didn't ask
deserve
for
this.
You didn't ask for it.
You're getting it.
Anyway, if you want to hear more about my Chive guy, subscribe to the Patreon at the $10 tier.
Matt, ask me about my Chive guy, Cole.
Oh,
Matt.
shit. Oh,
Matt,
man.
do you have anything else to say about SSX or Uber before we move on to Andrew?
I don't.
Not about your Chive guy.
No,
Great.
I don't.
Your Chive guy.
And
Holy shit.
tell
What a
us,
revelation.
Tell me about the docuseries you think I should watch next.
Yeah. So I'm gonna answer your question in the form of a short form VO.
Of course.
Good.
Ethan Mars owns a small independent graphic design firm on the outskirts of Sacramento, California. But when I visit him after his office reached out for some help in growing their customer base, I was a little surprised to find it was just him and his sister, who only works for him part-time. Ethan explained to me that his company had a steady stream of local clients, a couple of restaurant owners, the local high school, and a few recently elected city council people. But Ethan was really looking to amp up his presence. In order to build long-term business relationships, it's important to really feel like you know who you have on retainer. And so I knew the only way to really get to know Ethan would be to follow him back to his house, invite myself over to dinner, and learn what his day-to-day home life was like. And what I learned was Ethan isn't focused on the business at all. As soon as he walked through the door, all he would talk about was his son Jason's 10th birthday party. I watched as Ethan nonchalantly set out plates and party favors for a party. Then Ethan walked outside and spent nearly an hour just hitting his two kids with a toy sword. Not once did he even bring up his design skills or his competitive pricing model. After Ethan and his wife Grace went to sleep, I sat in their kitchen table and drafted a plan that would get Ethan the recognition needed to build a robust base of clients. But in order for this to work, I would need Ethan to refocus all his priorities and efforts toward building his graphic design empire, free of distractions. The plan: orchestrate a series of events leading to Ethan's son to be killed in a way that highlights Ethan's negligence as a father, cementing in his and everyone else's minds that this was 100% unequivocally his fault. Following a deep spiral of depression and hopelessness, Ethan will likely develop an unhealthy relationship with drugs and alcohol. He might even start to regularly black out and have gaps in his short-term memory. And it's then he will be finally free of distractions and ready to start growing his base of clients. This is Nathan for you.
Yeah. I wondered at one point, it's like, is he Is he doing a Nathan for you? It's
Doing a Nathan for you.
I'm having a hard time believing Andrew and I are answering the same questions here today.
Yeah, I took mine in a little different direction. So you mentioned that you found that the rehearsal was at the top of docuseries. So did I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
So we're doing
Great.
I'm doing What If Nathan. I'm doing the game Heavy Rain, popular PS3 game Heavy Rain, made by Quantic Dream, was an elaborate Nathan Fielder prank.
Oh my God.
We played Heavy Rain together as a group,
did.
and I remember none of it.
Yeah, retweet
that's
that,
not,
Matt.
That's not true. You all remember
I
Jason.
remember very true.
Jason! Jason!
There are maybe 4 scenes you could re-show me, and I would say, oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember running through the mall looking for our kid, which I think is the first scene.
You remember Jason, press X to Jason.
Yeah.
You remember
Drunk driving that car.
drunk driving that car and looking for Sean. So Sean, his son gets kidnapped. You also remember the guy with the Boston accent who has the Tony Stark visual computer where he waves his hand. He has the power glove and he waves his hand to move his clues around. You definitely remember that.
Yeah, you're saying I remember a lot of things. That's neat.
Well, while Matt remembers more about Heavy Rain, Todd, tell me about your docuseries recommendation today.
Yeah, I don't think I'm doing a bit, Kyle. I think I've just got a good answer. So I just want to
Okay.
enter in with that.
Like we were doing
we didn't
bits.
have good answers.
Yeah, I'm
earlier.
pretty sure I have a good answer.
I'm not talking about both of you.
Oh, okay.
He's only addressing one person with that pointed comment.
Yeah, Matt. Shut up.
Yeah, Matt.
Get dunked on.
Kyle, we're ready to greenlight our 8-episode docuseries that's going to be split into 2 parts, and it's going to tell the story of the 2010s video game Red Dead Redemption, which is set in like the early 1900s. But we're going to talk about the docuseries is going to focus on Red Dead Redemption and the story of John Marsden. The docuseries itself is just a retelling of John's story, which, for those who don't know, he hunts down members of his old gang because supposedly he's supposed to be rescuing his family. So, obviously, as far as characters we are getting John Marsden. And maybe less importantly, we're going to get a whole bunch of very 1911-y named supporting characters like Archer Fordham and Lee Johnson and Nigel West Dickens.
Those are some good names.
People like them with fancy mustaches. And of course, you will occasionally be bumping into the members of the Pinkerton National Detective Agency, which, as we know, is kind of what rolls up into Pinkering Consulting,
And
which
they helped make that Weezer album.
Yeah, and the people who track you down when you get magic cards too early.
Yeah, and who I may add are financing this series. So coming this fall to Paramount Plus and probably AMC Plus streaming services, unless those are the same streaming services, you can be on the lookout for, I like this title, The Gunslinger's Tragedy, A Story of Redemption.
That is pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's a pretty
That's
good
one
title.
of the names of the last missions, The Gunslinger's Tragedy. So
Gotcha.
It's good.
Okay. All right. I like this. We got a short mini series on snowboarding culture. We've got a Nathan for You episode, which
I mean, everybody likes Nathan for You.
everyone likes a Nathan for You episode, and then a history of a criminal as told by the private detective
The
agency that
heroes,
brought
the
him in.
Pinkertons.
Yeah, that helped make that one Weezer album.
Yeah.
Great. So, moving ahead, the core of a docuseries, what it lives and dies on, is who you are able to get for the talking head interviews. Who will take the time to sit down and talk with your reporters, to answer questions, to get the scoop we might not have known at the time. So please let me know, who did you manage to get to sit down and talk with your reporters, and who is our standout character? Who's the audience? Who am I as the viewer going to really latch on to here out of this cast of interviewees? Matt.
Yeah, Kyle, before I get into the bit, I would just like to ask everyone on the call, how much SSX did you play? I feel like everybody played Tricky, but
Yeah, I
after
played
that,
a lot of
Played
Tricky.
Tricky.
I think I only played a Tricky demo or an
Then you
SSX
played
demo
Tricky.
on PlayStation. No one had, like, we missed SSX on our GameCube rotation.
Big 1080
entirely.
fan over there.
I was very aware of it. It was like I had Nintendo Power before I had a GameCube, and I was like, I want to play SSX, and it just never happened. So
cool. Okay.
I think I had it on PS2.
Yeah, it was SSX Tricky came out on everything. The original SSX was actually PlayStation exclusive.
I think I had the demo of that on my PlayStation.
If I remember, the original SSX was like super serious, right?
Not quite
Remember
as
that?
like overblown as Tricky.
Okay.
But it wasn't like serious. It was kind of an action game.
It wasn't full on NBA Jam at
Yeah,
that
Tricky
point,
was NBA Jam. You're right.
Yeah.
but it wasn't straightforward like
Yeah.
snowboarding
Yeah,
either.
I could talk a lot about SSX Tricky in the post show. I'd love to. But right now I want to get into the bit. And here's the bit, guys. I asked how much Tricky you're familiar with because it is important to know that we did get the main 4 characters. Who are the main 4 characters of the SSX series, you're asking? I'm sure you're asking. There are only 4 characters that are in every SSX game. It's Zoe Payne, Mackenzie Mac Frazier, Elise Riggs, and Kaori Nishidaki. And we got all of them. All 4 of them are here. It's great. Now, it's pretty evident up front that Zoe Payne and Mac Frazier are still snowboarding. They still seem like snowboarders. We're interviewing them at a ski lodge. Then you have Elise Riggs. Now, Elise Riggs, famous in the game for hating Zoe and maybe trying to push her off a mountain a couple of times. Elise Riggs no longer snowboarding, pretty evident. And then we've got Kaori. And the real thing that the audience, I think, is going to latch onto in episode 1 is that when folks are telling stories of how things used to be back in the old days when we could still have fun and do Uber tricks where we took our feet out of our snowboards in midair and spun around like helicopters and then landed and didn't get hurt. That was a time that Mac Frazier and Kaori Nishidaki had this very loving and friendly relationship, this sort of will they, won't they. And now it seems like maybe they're not together anymore. And that's really going to pull on the heartstrings. But that's just episode 1, Kyle. Because when we get into episode 2, we're going to bring in some other characters, some ones that folks who are less familiar may not know, but they've got the rest of the story. People like Luther Dwayne Grady, who, interestingly, we only see interviewed inside of a prison cell. Or Simon Stark, a man who looks like he's done so many drugs that he should not be alive. And also his name starts with a P. Simon. P-S-Y-M-O-N.
Yeah.
Great.
That's so weird.
And then here's the real gotcha. For about an episode and a half, you're going to see a lot of interviews and a lot of footage of a man named Broderick Brody Ford. But all of those interviews are archival footage. We don't see any interviews of Brody in the modern day. And that leads us up to our big, plot drop moment at the end of the first episode. That's because Brody died on the mountain in a terrible snowboarding accident. And we only have archival footage of him because that motherfucker is dead. So we've got Zoe, Mac, Elise, Kaori, we've got Brody, we've got Luther and Simon. And then at the end of the first episode, you'll see that Marisol Diaz Delgado declined to participate in this series, but said that she has, quote, few but fond memories of her time as a snowboarder. Also, John Paul J.P. Arsenal declined to participate in the series via his lawyers.
We needed one of those. There's always one of those.
If I
Always.
remembered a single character from SSX,
This
I
would
know.
go
man,
so
that would
hard.
have hit so hard.
I know. This is one of the most
for someone.
This is probably the most self-serving episode I've done so far this season, and maybe in a while. This one is for me. I will drop in the link here. SSX characters.
Oh, no, buddy, I've had that up for 45 minutes.
That link's gonna stay blue.
Yeah,
Probably.
that's not the problem. What's the one with what's the guy at the fro?
So that's Eddie.
That's Eddie.
We'll talk about
He's not in
in
the
probably
doc
like episode 2. He disappeared. And we don't know where he was. And he showed up again in 2012 for one game, and then he disappeared again. And that's literally the canon of the game. In his, what is he doing now? It pops up and it says, he's disappeared. Nobody can find him. And that's true. We tried. We looked. We were unable to locate Edward Eddie Wachowski.
Matt, I know this isn't your fault. I cannot tell you how detrimental it is that there are not pictures included on this list of characters.
Yeah, I know.
Couldn't be less helpful.
I know, but the you can click the character names. It'll take you to their pages.
I know you can.
Yeah, that's an effort. That's a level of effort.
Yeah, there are some other people we'll meet in the next episode or in the next couple of episodes. They're not important to my answer to this question. They're important to my answer to next question. But it's your typical, it's like the American Gladiators doc or the Vince McMahon doc on Netflix. It's tons and tons of people who were there when it happened, whose names you forgot about, and you say, oh, yeah, it's that guy. Oh, yeah, it's Kaori Nishidaki, whose age changed canonically in the middle of 2 games. That's cool.
Very cool. Yeah, moving right ahead. Andrew, who do you got on the couch for us?
So let's pretend we're fading back in from our first commercial break. VO starts. So as it turns out, I misjudged Ethan's incredible lack of focus on his small business. After his son Jason was hit by a car moving at about 4 miles an hour, Ethan's wife Grace left him pretty expectedly. But what I didn't account for was that Ethan would double down on focusing on his one remaining son, Sean. Ethan moved into a one-room apartment and barely opened his computer for months, let alone actually thinking about his work. And then it happened. A stroke of luck in the case. Ethan took Sean out to a remarkably bummer-filled day at the park and, as a result of his incredible level of parental negligence, lost his second kid. Now, Sean is missing, and Ethan finally has no more distractions from his work. Now it's my job to get him to let go of the investigation to find Sean and shift his priorities to cold calling potential customers. I figured it was past time to look for help from other seasoned professionals who have successfully ignored their friends and family in order to dedicate themselves fully to their craft. And as it turns out, someone who fits exactly that bill just temporarily came to town to investigate Sean's missing persons case. This is Norman Jayden, and we see a blonde man walk into an empty room. He is wearing very thick black sunglasses, and he's got one black glove on, and he sits down on a desk in a single office facing nobody. This is Norman Jayden, an FBI profiler who was sent here from DC to find whoever kidnapped Sean as the latest in a recent string of related kidnappings. Norman has no friends, no family, and there are literally 3 other people in a 50-mile radius who even know his name, and they all hate him. Norman would be the perfect model to help me help Ethan reprioritize his life. And we cut into the interview. No pun intended. Nathan Fielder walks in, and he sits down, and the two shake hands. We see Norman is sitting there with his very, very dark sunglasses. Nathan says, "Thank you for having me. I know you are really busy with this case, so I'll get to the point." Norman is not looking at Nathan, and he's waving his hands in the air, like I mentioned before, like Tony Stark with the computer. You strike me as someone who's figured out how to cut all other ties in the name of focusing on your work. What advice do you have for someone else who's looking to do the same? Norman says, The gun the killer left at the Blue Lagoon. Perhaps there's some way of tracing its history. I'm sorry, what? No, that won't get us anywhere. We see Norman pantomimes pulling down a large map rolled up from above. The killer lives in this zone. 342 other people live around there. Not good enough. What are you watching right now? Do you even know I'm here? I know I've seen this gold watch before. I'm not wearing the watch. It's the watch they give for promotions to lieutenants. The killer is a cop. I'll just be leaving now.
Andrew, how often do you replay Heavy Rain? That you have these lines committed to memory.
And okay, so in my defense, those are all pulled from like 7 minutes of gameplay.
Okay.
Of a YouTube video.
Okay.
All of those lines happen like pretty much right after each other, so This one wasn't off the dome.
It wasn't so weird. Okay.
My killer Boston accent was in fact off the dome.
Yo.
Yeah, I have no
flawless.
notes on that, really.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I remember quotes that you just said as their like impacts, like a water balloon. Like,
I saw that.
yeah, you said the quote, and then I was like, oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh,
You had the same face that you had an hour ago when we were talking about the Ian Stevens movie.
get a globe.
Get a globe. That's for no one.
That's for no one but us. No, that's what we all kind of, or I meant earlier, Matt. Like, I had the same reaction. I was like, I don't remember anything from Heavy Rain. And then I was watching videos. I was like, oh yeah, the guy in his stupid fucking VR UI that he solves the case in his imaginary Tony Stark computer for no reason, and the game never gives an explanation for it.
It's just
also,
there.
Yeah. Also, he's addicted to it, and he snorts a lot of cocaine, but it's not cocaine. It's some pretend inhalant. That game is bananas.
Man, Quantic Dreams really loves pretend inhalant. I think that's in every Quantic Dream game.
I think you're right, because I'm pretty sure there's one in Indigo Prophecy too.
Yeah.
Quantic Dream is it a French company? Canadian? French.
Canadian? That sounds right.
That does sound right. I don't
Either
know,
way.
but that sounds right.
I think you're
It
right.
adds up.
I think they're in like Quebec or something. Also, Quantic Dream Marathon when? Let's do it.
Quantic Dream Marathon
boy.
when? Atlanta Quantic Dream Marathon.
Let's do it.
Oh.
Todd.
Yeah, well, since Red Dead Redemption took place in 1911-ish, interviews with direct accounts doesn't really work here. We don't really have that. So what we do have, because we live in this world, is descendants of those main characters telling the stories that are written records or passed down for, generation to generation kind of thing. Both stories and also like firsthand written accounts in equal measure.
Very
most of our
Ken Burnsian
yes
retelling. Okay.
Well, we are very fortunate because there's a wealth of documents housed with the Pinkerton Consulting Agency, who, most of the retelling comes from their angle, as you can imagine, since they came to be from the Pinkerton National Detective Agency, a real group in Red Dead Redemption. And they just paint with broad strokes this picture of John Marsden as he rampaged across the land, doing this great amount of damage to these law-abiding folks and property. And most of the direct interviews comes from Mr. Alan Pinkerton, the founder of Pinkertons, and he's the most recent Pinkerton name I could find attached.
Is that
to
real?
Yeah.
That sounds made up.
That does sound made up,
So
yeah.
he is not listed on their website as like a contact, but he was the last name I could find attached to.
I
the
love that
Pinkerton
you just went to the
Consulting Agency.
Pinkertons
really good.
website and looked for the contact us page.
Okay,
That's so funny.
Time out.
We'll put the link to
listeners.
the Pinkertons website
Go
in
to
the show
link.
notes.
No, I want you two to go to it right now.
Okay,
All right.
absolutely. Say less.
Yeah,
Pinkertons. You're gonna find company.
I'm going to
it's-
search for Pinkerton website. Is
Yeah,
it
you're
Pinkerton
fine.
Consulting?
Yes.
Our history. That's the first thing.
Now,
that
if you
pops
go
up.
to contact us, what's that first link at the contact us dropdown?
Vendor
I don't know, but I
program?
really like find your Pinkerton.
Find your Pinkerton. Huh.
Yeah.
Maybe you can go and see by regions who's supporting you. No one's last
can.
name is Pinkerton, but that was where I started.
Okay.
All right.
That's funny. Wow, many states have a Pinkerton representative. Mm-hmm. Do we have one in Ohio?
Not sponsors of the show, but I would like to continue with my bit.
Yeah, go
man.
on, go off, Kate.
Bit away.
Yeah, so most interviews come directly from Mr. Alan Pinkerton, the descendant of the very same Pinkertons that kept the Wild West safe so long ago. And so for the front half of this 8 episode split miniseries, for the first 4, we're painted this bleak image of this desperate man of John Marsden going out for himself, leaving blood in his wake. Now, the messaging is also supported from documents and descendants of shopkeepers, where we get this footage of this man reenacting these acts, but you never really see that man's face. And so over and over again, we are regaled with these stories that are played out in a reenactment, but you never see that man. And so we're hearing these stories of like storming fortresses and shootouts with the Federales and, robbing stores at gunpoint. However, contrasting that crime, every now and again, we get these occasional stories from old farmers talking about how a masked man saved their pa from a rampaging albino elk while throwing dynamite at it and running over it with a stagecoach with no horses attached to it. Or the time their pa was saved from being held at gunpoint by a strange man who lassoed the thief off his horse from a moving train, completely bisecting him. Stories of heroism. And all of these stories are reenacted and then followed up with these like real form, grainy sepia photos of John Marsden, but you never see his face. He's cleaning the elk blood out of his stained, dyed pink beard and tall, floppy hat that a custom character creator may allow you to make in something like this.
Oh, that's why they're called the Pinkertons, right?
That's the Pinkertons.
Nice.
But the whole deal here is that the stories the Pinkertons tell you, they paint this picture of a crime spree. But right before that fourth episode ends, we start to get these stories that tell of a different, contradicting story of heroism directly in the face of the Pinkertons. So yeah, our main characters here, John Marsden and the Pinkertons, but there's more.
Great. Fantastic.
This is like America's Funniest Home Videos, but in the Old West. I love the zaniness.
Okay, time out, because as I did this, I was, which we'll talk more in the post show. It's like, man, the really, really serious story of what John Marsden's going through. But also, you're kind of doing GTA on a horse.
Yeah, you are. There is a thin line between John Marsden and Yosemite Sam.
Yeah, I was gonna say, sounds like Ghost Rider to me.
Yeah,
Every
tearing ass
year,
through the west, the frontier.
Every year has its game where it's like, here's the very serious thing going on, and here's what I'm doing instead of completing that storyline.
Yeah.
And Red Dead 2 was certainly that year's game of that genre. It's been, both Switch Legend of Zeldas. It's been,
every
Skyrim
open world game, basically.
Yeah.
You think they added the Dragonborn Fus Roda for practical reasons?
No, it's so that you could ragdoll people off a mountain. Obviously.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Over and over again.
Yeah.
So, the hallmark of the docu-series genre is, of course, the mid to late season reveal that brings everyone back in who fell off during the boring exposition episodes. So, for your docu-series, what is that third act reveal? Is it an interviewee we haven't met yet? Is it a shocking revelation? What's the big news that's going to get me back in and wonder what I missed in the last two episodes when I kind of zoned out and was on my phone the whole time? Matt.
Yeah, Kyle. So this is a mini series, a little bit different than your standard docuseries. Because of that, we sort of need a cliffhanger for each episode so that we keep people through the whole run.
Sure.
And we are going to tell this story in 3 parts. Uber is the story of SSX skateboarding culture in a time when it could be something different. And that's where the first episode is going to focus. In episode 1, titled It's Tricky, we're going to talk to Zoe, Mac, Elise, and Kaori about the, quote, old days. Again, the tricks they used to do, the pranks they used to pull, the areas they used to get dropped off to snowboard, the giant pinball machine that mysteriously appeared in China for them to snowboard down. That's a real level in SSX Tricky. You don't remember it, but it's there. It's called Pipe Dream. It exists. We're hearing about all sorts of crazy, dangerous things. And obviously, it has to lead to something. We're getting a lot of these stories, again, from archival interviews of Brody. And that's when the first episode ends, telling us that, Mac, I think, says the line that we end the episode on, we could never live like that again. Some of us couldn't even live like that then. Boom, cut to black. Next time on Uber, we get the story in episode 2 titled Going on Tour of Brody's horrific snowboarding accident. Because of that snowboarding accident, SSX 3, the next game after Tricky, was largely toned down. It wasn't quite as blown out or as extreme as SSX Tricky. In fact, a lot of the original racers didn't want to come back. in episode 2, we are going to add a couple of talking heads. We'll meet Allegra Suavagues. She's a movie star now.
Sorry?
She showed up in SSX 3. She's not important. She's a movie star now, but she likes to talk about how she lived too fast back in her days on tour. And after SSX 3, that is when the group got together and a group of sponsors pushed them to tour around the world, leading to a new era of skateboard culture. We are also in episode 2 going to catch back up with Simon Stark, who was really the party and drug pusher of this group, always providing people
This is
with
PSY Simon.
PSY
right?
Simon.
PSY Simon. Yeah.
Important distinction.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how you know he's a bad dude, because it's spelled with a P.
Yeah.
So he was the party, he was always pushing people for the next big thing, the next crazy stunt, the next big adventure. And we're going to hear a lot about the conflicts between Simon Stark, a guy who we get real-time interviews with, and another guy named Tyson Logan, who, again, we're only seeing in archival footage. Simon and Tyson used to have a huge rivalry. They were always at each other's throats, always trying to outdo another. Simon thinking Tyson was too uptight, and Tyson thinking Simon was too crazy. And finally, at the end of episode 2, bang, shocking reveal as we introduce Nate Logan, brother of Tyson Logan, who died in a snowboarding race against Simon.
Oh.
And now Nate is here to talk about his experience watching his brother careen off a mountaintop and die. Now, in episode 3 titled Blur, SSX Blur, that's the 2007 Wii exclusive that I learned about today. So, in episode 3...
Yeah, what?
Yeah, I know, right? I played On Tour. Everything after that lost to me. Episode 3, Blur. Now, we have watched Brody die. We have watched Tyson die. And now we are in the resolution of this miniseries because we are talking to the people who are left. We are hearing the stories about the way things used to be, and obviously laws have changed, rules have changed, sponsors have money involved, and it kind of leaves the viewer with a question of, well, what is really going on with snowboarding culture now? Why are Mac Frazier and Zoe Payne still such avid snowboarders if nobody else in their crew is still around? Bang! That's when we introduce Griff. Who is Griff, you ask?
This
Who
guy
is
is Griff.
I do ask, who is Griff?
No, this isn't Griff.
No,
This
that's
is
Simon. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Griff is the bad guy in the SSX reboot that came out in 2012. Why is he the bad guy?
Oh my God.
Because Griff sold out. Griff sold out at the end of SSX
sure.
On Tour. He thought he was too big and too rich and too good with all of his dirtbag friends, and he took sponsorship money and he started what, I kid you not, in the games is called Team Griff, which is the opposing team to Team SSX, started by Zoe and Mac. And now those two teams do snowboarding team things, and Griff is a bad guy. And also the way they talk about Griff in the bios, even though it was written 10 years ago, leads me to say I'm pretty confident Griff would have not been in the right place on January 6th. And by not in the right place, I think he would have stormed the Capitol. And we're talking to him. He has been absolved of all guilt. He has been pardoned, and he is here to talk about Team Griff and why it was better to sell out and not be a dirtbag like everybody else. And those are the cliffhangers. So cliffhanger 1, somebody died. Cliffhanger 2, somebody died. Cliffhanger 3, this guy sold out.
What I love most about the lore in SSX is that if SSX is the Green Lantern, Griff's Team Griff is Sinestro Corps.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I was
Whole team named after the first guy.
I love that SSX has a team X-Blades and a team Puppin Suds. It's really helps me know who to root for here.
I found this comic panel on the wiki.
Good.
And
I know where this is going.
And I put it didn't go very well in the Google Doc, But the first panel is Griffin Simmons on a couch. His arms are behind his head. He's got his feet up on the couch like a monster. And he's saying, "My name is Griffin Simmons and I am the enemy." Incredible exposition. Just
fantastic.
We didn't need Uncle Ben dying. You're giving me everything I need to know in one panel, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. That's what I've got. Also, the character Brody, who I killed off in the first episode, voiced by Billy Zane in all appearances.
What?
Yeah.
Huh.
Isn't that crazy?
The SSX franchise pulled Billy Zane
for 2 games.
Multiple games.
For 2 games, Billy Zane voiced Brody.
Jesus.
Holy shit, that's amazing.
Incredible. Why'd we let this franchise die? Is my question. Amazing. Love the reveal. Love the Billy Zane reveal. I'm imagining it is just Billy Zane on the couch. Or no, he's dead. So it would just be him in flashbacks. And it's not mentioned. So the whole time, everyone's parents, I guess, are going, "Is that Billy Zane?" Andrew, tell me about your late episode reveal.
Yeah, so after commercial break number 2, we come back. Nathan's voiceover. As a result of Ethan's famous negligence and penchant for regular blackouts, Ethan has landed himself as the prime suspect as the Origami Killer, a serial killer known for kidnapping young boys whose bodies are found dead days later, drowned. The challenging thing here is Ethan himself also partially believes that he could in fact be the killer, seeing as he keeps finding these little origami figures hidden in his apartment. Between that and the blackouts, he lives in fear that he might be doing these horrible things without knowing it. The thing is, Ethan is being framed. How do I know that? Because I hired an actor to play the part of the Origami Killer and set Ethan up. So we flip to an older, balding white man in a small apartment-looking office. Meet Scott Shelby. Scott is a former police lieutenant who retired and then went into business on his own as a private investigator. For the past few weeks, Scott has been chasing down leads, seemingly to find the identity of the Origami Killer. But in reality, he's been chasing down leads to tie down any loose ends and ensure Ethan would be framed. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but how does being sentenced to life in prison help Ethan build his graphic design business? And the answer to that, make sure Ethan rescues his last remaining son and that Norman and the police successfully ID Scott as the Origami Killer. So how do we do that? Meet Madison Page, the mole I hired to keep tabs on Ethan and lead him every step of the way. Last month, Madison and Ethan had a chance encounter, and then since that point, would arrive at Ethan's apartment just in time to patch him up or stop him from overdosing. And then as their relationship developed organically, Madison would plant the many leads for Ethan to follow to find Sean's location. Everything you just witnessed happened 2 years ago. So where are they now? Well, happy to report that Ethan has finally started to take his business seriously and has brought on a whole host of new clients. He lives upstate with Madison, and his son Sean visits occasionally 1 weekend a month, which is plenty. The actor I hired to play as the Origami Killer, turns out he wasn't acting as much as he was reenacting his own past trauma. And so he's been given life in prison without parole. End credits.
No, great.
Yeah, right.
No notes.
I would again like to say I'm having a hard time believing that Andrew and I are answering the same prompts today.
Matt's had 2 cases of death and was still more cohesive than that.
Well, it wasn't Nathan for you. It's not supposed to be cohesive.
Fair.
I specifically chose docu-series as the genre to make it as wide open and get these vast dichotomies as possible. Todd, tell us about the twist reveal in your show.
Yeah, so we're nearing the mid-season mark of the Gunslingers tragedy, A Story of Redemption. And, 8-episode series, split series 4 and 4. So we're in like mid-episode 4, close to the end. We've gotten enough of those counter stories of that journey that John Marsden has taken that the Pinkertons, who are funding this whole thing, are presented a physical stack of information that contradicts their claims of wide vigilantism. And of course, like, they deny all this. They deny all of it to the point that, what did I say? His name was Mr. Alan Pinkerton. Looks at the interviewer and says, "Oh, well, if you're so certain of what John Marsden did and didn't do," that's how he sounds, I think.
Yeah.
He would say
100%.
That's how everyone talked in the Old West.
yeah. And since he's the descendant of those people, he talks that way. He says, "Where are you getting your information?" And so through this whole time of retelling these stories, we've been showing these reenactments of the moments happening, and we never see a face of John Marsden. As we hear that Alan Pinkerton quote echo in our brain, "Where are you getting your information?" We cut to a scene of a man sitting down holding an old dusty book labeled "Property of Mr. John Marsden." And there we see who's been playing the role of John through this entire retelling when the camera pans up and we see no other than James Marsden labeled as the grandson of John Marsden and holding that book. And he looks at the interview and says, "Why don't we start at the beginning?" as he gives this coy James Marsden smile. Canonically descendant of John Marsden.
Canonical descendant of John Marsden, James Marsden. Todd, thank you, because forever when people have talked about this game, I've had to put a mental block in place that, nope, that is not James Marsden, the actor. That is John Marsden, the character from the game Red Dead Redemption.
You know what doesn't help that confusion? Westworld.
No, it sure doesn't.
Westworld just made that way more blurry.
Everyone knows Westworld is a dramatic retelling of James Marsden's family history.
That's
That's
true.
what it is.
Yeah.
Not even John Marsden, James Marsden.
Yes. I said that right.
Yeah,
You
James
said
Marsden is
you
the
said what
actor,
was the
right?
better joke.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
it's fine.
Good.
Guys, these shows all sound great, and I'm
Thanks, Kyle.
probably watch all of them, and I'm probably going to want to watch like more than that. So, there's always that follow-up episode that comes out later where we follow up with the interviewees who weren't pissed off at the crew and decided to come back, or we get a "where are they now" type thing. So, what's the follow-up episode of your show look like? We are going to talk about that right after this break.
Are you into all things weird? Do you ever go to a party and all you can talk about is true crime? Or bugs? Or ghosts? Or that weird science fact that you just can't get enough of? Well, I'm Harmony. And I'm Haley. And we're the hosts of your new favorite podcast, Make It Weird, the comedy podcast that's bringing you the most bizarre stories from all around the world. Every other week, Harmony and I will each share a new story about something that we find particularly weird. Like the story of the 1920s female watch painters who were being poisoned by radium. Or the story of Carl Tanzler, the man who kept a woman's corpse in his house for 7 years. And in between those weeks, Haley and I will share some especially weird current events in our mini episodes. Like that time someone stole 34,000 avocados. Or that time a dog's microchip helped solve the mystery of its owner's murder. New episodes are live every Wednesday, and you can listen to us on all podcast platforms. Or watch our video on Spotify and YouTube. Thanks for listening, and we hope you'll join us on the next episode of Make It Weird. Bye! And
we're back. So, guys, tell me about that explosive follow-up episode. Is it a all cast sit down? Is it a where are they now? Is it another huge reveal? What is it? What do we got? Matt, start us off.
Yeah, Kyle. So at the very end of episode 3, we introduced Griff Simmons, the enemy, the bad guy of SSX 2012 reboot. And the thing about Griff Simmons is that I can confidently say he was at January 6th and has now been absolved of any guilt of that. And so we didn't know we were going to be able to talk to Griff. He was held in federal prison for a while, but now we are able to sit down with Griff. And after reviewing our footage, Griff decided that he wanted an opportunity to tell his story. And he wanted to say what it was like from his side. So in episode 4, titled Snow Grift, we get the story of the guy who sold out. That's it. I just wanted to hit that Snow Grift joke. That's all I got.
No, it was good.
You got it. Yeah, great. Andrew.
I'm just going to say it's those 6 words that millions of people have been waiting to hear forever. New season of Nathan For You. So episode 2 is we're coming in on a brand new story. The plan Market a series of androids that replicate human emotion and insert themselves into people's lives, creating long-standing bonds that blur the lines between simulation and reality. This is Nathan for you.
Fantastic.
The same kind of punch as a stupid dumb Starbucks.
Yes,
right there with it. My God.
Todd.
So the explosive follow-up is why this is being released in a split season of 4 episodes and 4 episodes, which I will remind you has been fully funded by the Pinkertons ahead of time before they got to see the footage. We get James Marsden back after a mid-season break as he tells the real story of his great-grandfather John Marsden's fight to get his family back and spill the blood of those who wronged him from his old gang full of sepia photos of him. And we see a lot of the fun character moments, him cheating at poker and starting a fight, him fighting bears with dynamite. Pictures of him tying Pinkertons to the railroad tracks, which you would know they're Pinkertons because they all wear the same hat. That's how you know they're Pinkertons in the West. Tying Pinkertons to the railroad tracks and then looking at them to watch as the train smushes them, which is a real thing you have to do to get the achievement in any of the Red Dead games. But ultimately, what we get is this. We end up with this documentary that is funded by Pinkertons that fully exposes their century-long grift against the general people. Because there is nothing better in a documentary than a switch that happens partway through that does not benefit those making the documentary.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
At Vince McMahon Netflix doc.
I didn't know there was a Netflix one.
Oh,
Yeah,
buddy.
Came out around the same time
quality.
as the Behind the Bastards one.
Nice.
So good thing for you to discover after this recording.
Yeah, have to watch it.
All right, guys. Yeah, I'm firing up my streaming box. I'm downloading Red Bull TV and all the other apps we name dropped today. While those download, go ahead and give me your closing statements.
Yeah, Kyle, because not everyone on this call is as familiar with the characters of the SSX series as I am, I want to paint the picture for you so you know who it is we're talking to in this series. Now, I already introduced to you Broderick Brody Ford is none other than Billy Zane. But what I didn't say is Luther Dwayne Grady, the guy who got arrested for being problematic and we're only interviewing from prison. He was voiced by none other than Oliver Platt, a person that you know, maybe not by name, but by face.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which leads me to one Elise Riggs. Elise, you will remember as one of the original 4 characters, the one that hates Zoe and is no longer snowboarding, in SSX Tricky, voiced by none other than Lucy Liu.
What kind of budget did this game have?
Wait, I have one more. Andrew referenced earlier a guy named Edward Eddie Wachowski. We said he disappeared. He's the guy with the big afro, voiced by none other than David Arquette.
What?
Oh.
Billy Zane, Oliver Platt, David Arquette, Lucy Liu, all voice actor credits.
I mean,
in 2001's
that's
SSX
like
Tricky.
That has the credits of like a Thanksgiving rom-com.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it sure does.
100%.
Wow.
Or just a cop procedural on CBS, too. Yeah. Insane. Andrew.
I mean, it's simple. It's more Nathan for you. Who doesn't want more Nathan for you? All the girlies are screaming for more Nathan for you.
And Todd?
Yeah, things I've already said and things that we already know. People love gritty westerns. They love James Marsden. And like we all agreed, they love it when a documentary accidentally backfires on the Pinkertons.
Yeah, okay. I guess in this premise, I'm now going through these apps. I'm looking for these shows. I'm gonna pick one soon. Give me good vibes before I get there. Before I find whichever one of these I find first.
Yeah, Andrew, fun bit, man. Nathan for you is really good, and I love that we had the conversation up top about like, is the rehearsal a docuseries? I think that's really fun. You brought up a lot of things in Heavy Rain that I didn't think I remembered, and I'm not quite ready to contend with how much of it felt familiar.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, it does. It sucks. Jason! That's all.
Jason!
Anyway, Todd, I also really enjoy anything that's bad for the Pinkertons. I think that's great. I also love a docuseries that takes that flip for the people making it near the end. I think that's a lot of fun. And I haven't played Red Dead 2, but so many times I've heard about, well, you have to squish these people with a train, and if you don't watch it, you don't get the Chivo. And I love that you brought that in as the big twist.
Matt, while you did lose me a little bit with the name soup of the SSX lore, I'm definitely here for burnout snowboarders talk about their glory days on the mountain. I will ingest that sort of media in any variety. No matter how dirty that needle is, I will inject that into my veins. So thank you for bringing that today. Also, thank you I'm really happy for you that you got to finally talk about SSX.
Me too.
And I'm genuinely looking forward to talking about SSX Tricky in the post show. Yeah, Todd, similarly, Red Dead Redemption is just a wacky, sort of zany romp through the Old West dressed up as a very serialized drama. I remember two things about the original Red Dead Redemption. One is said train track achievement where you have to tie somebody up on the train tracks. And then the other is when you go into Mexico and you hear that like cool guitar riff for the first time.
It's like entering Gerudo Valley.
Yes, it is like entering Gerudo Valley. Exactly. I really like the thought of the like old timey, what's his name? The World War II guy. You mentioned Kyle referenced him. Ken Burns, the Ken Burns doc,
Yep.
but with the guitar, the guitar theme when you enter Mexico. I really like that. I like just profiling the Pinkertons in a totally unbiased sort of way because they paid for this whole thing and they're definitely not the bad guy here. Don't worry about it. Move along.
Yeah, I mean, if they paid for it, they probably endorse it.
Yeah, it's probably fine.
Yeah,
they're
definitely
the heroes.
Matt, I was thrilled to find out that SSX has deep lore. Love that. I did play SSX Tricky. In fact, I know most of the songs to the word most of the words to the song Tricky because of that looping track from the commercial. So I feel like that's paid off in dividends to me. Andrew, I love Nathan For You. I love Nathan For You. I wouldn't want it in a game, but I love Nathan For You. I do really like the retelling of the zaniness of Heavy Rain as like it really is just a Nathan For You rehearsal kind of bit.
I mean, right, when you think it's so bananas, like it is kind of one step away from being a Nathan For You.
Yeah, like we watched it happen, but it feels like there's another layer to pull out a little bit further.
Yeah.
To be like, oh no, that's what's actually happening here. So yeah, I got a big kick out of that. I, much like Matt, have trauma blocked most of that game out, but every now and again, you said things that triggered my fight or flight instinct.
You're welcome.
Didn't say thank you.
All right, guys, I have settled on a show, and let me walk you through the process that got me there. So first, I'll start with Andrew. I went on Paramount Plus. I was gonna watch the Nathan For You episode you talked about, only to find that Paramount Plus pulled every episode of Nathan For You after his stunt on the rehearsal where he compared them to the Nazis. After that,
well, he didn't come right out and say that.
They just took the whole show off Paramount Plus. They are not. You can't watch it there anymore. You better.
Nobody appreciates avant-garde comedy anymore.
No one does. So that leaves me with Matt and Todd. Matt, I went to download the Red Bull TV app.
That was your first problem.
And I'm pretty sure that somewhere in the terms and conditions, there was something about it using my device to download cryptocurrency. So I will be watching Uber the SSX Tricky story, but I'm going to have to pirate it because I don't want to give Red Bull full access to my devices and home network to mine cryptocurrency.
That's a bummer. In exchange for your home network, you get wings.
So that leaves me with Todd. Your Red Dead Redemption Ken Burns-esque docuseries is the winner today. I'm gonna watch all slow 10 hours of it. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna love every minute of it. Yeah, that's it.
That's just where the podcast ends.
That's it.
That's it.
Cut.
I agree.
Great. Yeah, I was looking for any kind of
Sorry.
response from anyone there.
Todd short-circuited there.
I was just enjoying Kyle saying nice things about my choice, and I wasn't going to stop him.
He was focused on this picture of Matt's Chive guy.
I did.
Chive
Oh,
guy.
did you guys scroll down enough? I was going to leave that for the post show, but
I did just.
It's here.
That's a real screenshot from my Facebook page of a post from my friend who is the Chive guy.
Fantastic. Well, we're all going to go look more into Matt's Chive guy. So thank you all for listening to Debate This. You can follow along with the arguments on Instagram, YouTube, and Patreon at Debate This Cast, or on our website, debatethiscast.com. We have some live shows coming up. I know one. Andrew's got it. Andrew's going to save me.
I'll take this hot potato from
Panic in Kyle's eyes.
I've known you long enough to know what that look is. Yeah, we've got a couple live shows coming up. Good news is we've got some live shows coming up. Bad news is apparently all these conventions don't book the shows or the actual panels until just a few weeks out. So if you're interested in coming to see us in one of these shows, do your own research, I guess.
We'll try and update you as best we can until that, but
or whatever. Okay, so the most recent coming up is we're going to be at Animate Columbus. It's Animate with an exclamation point. It is an anime convention that may or may not be a surprise. That is the weekend of June 14th. So June 13th, 14th, and 15th. My guess is we will probably be sometime on June 14th, but TBD. The following week, we're going to be in Atlanta at the Southern Fried Gaming Expo. That is June 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Similarly, we'll probably be on one of those days. And then finally, right now, we will potentially, most likely, we will be at Tekko, which is another anime convention in Pittsburgh the following month. So that's July 18th, 19th, and 20th. So again, to recap, we will keep you all posted on those dates as soon as we get them. We do not know exactly when yet, so keep an eye out. And we'd love for you to come and see us. We're trying to do more shows. We're trying to do more shows that realistically we can drive to. So it's not like we can only afford to do one a year. So we're trying to just make a larger presence because we like doing live shows and we like meeting people out in real time. So if you happen to be in any of those areas or, already going to those conventions, come stop by, say hi, come see a live episode of Debate This.
It's always a good time. If you want to support Debate This more, you can check out our Patreon at patreon.com/debatethiscast, where for the price of $5 a month, you get access to our monthly Patreon exclusive show, Deconstructed, and all backlogged episodes of our D&D show, The Office Drones. Until next time, I've been your host, Kyle Harper.
Oh, shit, I forgot to think of a middle name. Oh, damn it. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Griff rhymes with so many things. Work with Griff.
Matt, I've got a Chive guy and a Green Onions guy, Cole.
All right. I'm Andrew. Jason for you, Henderson.
Hey.
And I'm Todd. Psyman is my least favorite Mega Man villain. Thomas.
And we're saying thanks for debating with us, and if you think we're wrong, you can come fight us behind the swing sets, nerds.